Welcome back to Brighter Morning with Bo. I am Bo Tiwari, and you are watching this Brighter Morning with Bo morning program on MCTV, Multicultural TV. Our guest this morning is Mr. Hanif Benjamin, and we will talk to him now. Mr. Benjamin, good morning. Thanks for coming on Brighter Morning. We're very glad to have you.
Thank you, Dr. Bo. It is indeed a pleasure to be with you and all your viewing and listening audience throughout the world.
Thank you. I want to start by giving people a sense of who you are and what you do and how things have changed maybe because of COVID. So I will ask you a simple question. Explain to the population what a clinical therapist is and what a trauma specialist is and what your work entailed prior to the emergence of COVID, and then explain how that work has changed because of the onset of COVID and the consequences of COVID. Could you give us a view?
Well, so a clinical therapist is somebody who has been trained in clinical therapy. So it's along the psychological realm. I am a clinician, having completed a clinical master's in social work, as well as specialization in children and family, as well as trauma. And so what we literally do is psychotherapy, where we sit with people and talk through their issues and help them to realize. But what is fundamental about what I do is it is done from a more environmental perspective, meaning we encompass all of the environment, the social environment, the ecological model surrounding that person so that we could bring about a well-rounded resolution to whatever issue. In relation to me being a clinical traumatologist, so I would have started my journey in trauma in my master's program where I specialized. After that, I did some more work in New York, NYU and Hunter College in New York, where I furthered my trauma studies. And then I would have completed a postgraduate work in traumatology from the Traumatology Institute of Canada. And so specializing in child trauma along the lifespan, and also field traumatology. So I respond to disasters and traumas like that as well. And so what that means for my work is that I treat with people who have experienced trauma at any level, at any age. Also, families who would have gone through trauma because of either death or whatever it is. So we treat with that level of trauma. And so both the work that was done pre-COVID and the work that is being done now is the same work. It's just the varying and intensity of what we are seeing. And I tell people before COVID, we would see couples and we would see children, but during COVID and now, that has at least grown by 200% in terms of couples coming for therapy as well as children. We see a lot of parent-child relationship breakdown issues. We see a lot of relationship issues at the home. And the reason that I am seeing that is because COVID, we call it the great revealer. In that, children would have gone to school as a safe place. People would have gone to work as a safe space. I mean, people don't want to say it. But when you leave work in the morning, leave home in the morning to go to work, you come back late at night. That is the best time for you because you're outside of the firing line per se. And so what COVID did, it kept people at home, kept children in abusive situation. It kept women and men in abusive situation. And so we are seeing an emergence of a lot of domestic issues, a lot of parent-child issues, a lot of children and adolescent issues, suicidality, depression, anxiety, and the likes.
Yeah. So the work that you did before involves the same kind of work you are doing now, but you say the intensity is greater, and COVID has become the great revealer. I noticed that I turned the newspaper this morning in my, dialogue with the population, my prologue at the beginning of the program, and I turned to the third page on the Newsday, and I see four stories about literally murders and killings, and all of them savage in nature. Do you think that COVID is contributing to this, or do you think it's just incidental that things like these are happening during this period of COVID?
We have always seen a high level of brutality. We have seen murderous act. We have seen murder suicide. We have seen brutal end to domestic violence situation. We have seen brutality against our children. I think that COVID would have brought it even more to our face because we are seeing it more and more every day. But I believe that this has always been a situation. This is not a phenomena. This has always been the case, even in and out of COVID. I think what is critical for us is for us to understand what is causing people to behave the way they behave. I must admit, though, as I said, COVID is a great revealer, that during COVID, people have become even more frustrated on so many levels, whether it is financial frustration and other kind of frustration, and people do not have an outlet to really let out how they feel, to process how they feel in a healthy way. And as a result of that, bro, you see, we see what is happening now, which is even more violence. But I think that I have said it before, we are a violent society. That is how we deal with situation. We are violent in our words, we are violent in our behavior, we are violent in our thoughts, and as a result of that, it manifests itself into action.
Yeah. Let's go back to the pre-COVID situation. And you say we are a violent society. What do you think contributes to the psychological state of the population in which people in the society, ordinary people that you might be engaging from day to day, are not understanding what is going on in their head? Why is it that people choose violence as a way of dealing with their problems or solving their problems? Why are we so violent?
Because throughout our life, we have been inculcated in violence. Let me go to corporal punishment. And I know it's a ticklish topic and people don't always like to have that conversation.
No, feel free to express your views.
But we beat children. We beat children mercilessly under the guise of corporal punishment or discipline. But when we beat children, we teach children that is how we treat with difficulties. We teach them that when you misbehave, you will be beaten. We teach them that the way to solve issues is by beating them. For them to listen, we have to beat you. And so we start a cycle of violence. Then let us go to our television shows. Every show is so violent, and it has gotten even crazy, real type violent over the many years. There is no more censure in terms of how it looks. So we are seeing violence. The way we see our family operate, right? The bacchanalia and the violence within the family also tells us how we should behave. So what we would have done over the many years is cement that the way we treat with situation is violent. We are not a panchayat system where we come and we sit and we talk it out, we experience, and the elders talk to us and the younger ones listen. There is no amalgamation in terms of wisdom and youth. There is also a push for restorative justice and those kind of things, but it is not widely used. So everything is we have to battle it out. We have to fight it out. And that is how family sees it. That is how children are grown. And that is how they carry on the tradition of violence. And so when you have that now, coupled with stressors, life stressors that seemingly people do not know how to maneuver, then we have a recipe for disaster. I said there is no line with an irrational mind. And the reason why I said that there is no line with an irrational mind is because once your mind is irrational, once you see one way of thinking, once you believe in one thing, there is no moving. And so if you believe that violence is the way, that you lack the cognitive ability to process things in a healthy way, or have people to help you process it, then violence will be your portion.
Yeah. But how do we deal with that in this society? I mean, we cannot continue in this way. I mean, I read a man in New Grand just ran amok. He took a cutlass. He chopped the man's wife. He murdered them. He chopped somebody else. He ran away as if he could get away with it. Eventually, the police will either catch him or he will take his own life or he might damage somebody else. I mean, it's a hell of a situation. I mean, what is it that puts people in this situation, and can we do anything as a society about something like this? And I'm not getting to COVID yet. I'm going to get to that. Can we intervene? Is there an intervention that is possible?
Listen, it's harder to navigate between what is going on in one's head and knowing when one is going to have an episode. Because I don't know what is going on. I don't know if mental illness was the case. I don't know what was going on in the person's mind at the time. So there is no real prescription in terms of how we deal with when a person in Trinidad term trip. But what we can do is we can recognize that the country is under enormous stress. We can recognize that people have been living under enormous stress. We must recognize that the majority of people in this country might not be as happy as we want to believe. And therefore, it is incumbent on us to create systems where people have an outlet to deal with their stressors. So I believe that it is time that we develop trauma centers throughout this country. But first, there must be a recognition from our leaders that people are in fact traumatized, that people are dealing with difficulties. And therefore, creating trauma centers would allow skilled personnel to be readily available to treat with people. Mental health is still a taboo situation in this country, in this region, and therefore people are not readily coming forward to seek mental health treatment. And more so because mental health treatment is not readily available to all and sundry. We want to believe that you could go to the hospital, but you have to understand when you go to the hospital, you go to treat critical issues. The model is criticality. And therefore, if you are not at a critical
we have a problem with I think we have a problem with the Wi-Fi on your end. We're going to take a break at this point and we'll come back to you.
Welcome to Lifetime Solutions, where you can trust your roof to us. Our services include custom fabrication, steel framing, roofing installation, on-site roll forming, roofing maintenance and services. Call 223-ROOF or 223-7663 for a quote today or visit our website www.lifetimesolutionstt.com. Lifetime Solutions. You can trust your roof to us. Call 223-ROOF or 223-7663 for a quote today or visit our website www.lifetimesolutionstt.com.
As businesses adapt to the new normal, let Magic Mist take care of your cleaning and sanitization needs with our COVID-19 BSCAI internationally certified technicians. With over 43 years of protecting the health of our nation, you can trust us to ensure your building remains safe, healthy, and functional. Give us a call today at 638-6675 or 332-5522. Magic Mist Services Limited, your total facilities management solutions provider.
Do you want to know how to make money in the comfort of your home? Do you want to know the secret in finding love? Well, you can't get none of that here. Join me on NCTV on To Make Joke. New guests every week. I'm not promising that. Now take a look at what we have to offer.
Curry, crab, curry, shrimps, curry.
Yeah, every week, new episode, MCTV. Hi, this is Michael Ruplal, attorney at law. I'm inviting you to join me every Thursday at 5 p.m. on MCTV for the Social Contract. It's a new show where we will be discussing bills that are being debated in Parliament, topical legal issues and recent decisions of our courts, and where we'll be giving general legal advice on issues that affect you, the public. I encourage all of you to continue looking at MCTV, bringing you back to where you belong.
Yeah, you are back, Brighter Morning with Bo, and I'm Bo Tiwari, and we're talking with Mr. Hanif Benjamin. Mr. Benjamin, I know you were explaining something and we got cut off there, but let's take the issue of this young woman, Janica Guerra. I mean, that has traumatized me as much as the Barrett case. In the Barrett case, there seemed to be some kind of motivation. That is to say that she was working in the court system, and there seemed to be some kind of connection. I don't know what the reality is. But in this case, Janica Guerra, it seems that this was somebody she knew. The next thing you know, this poor girl is murdered and put in a shallow grave, and the person goes about his business. What allows a person to do this kind of thing and feel that they could get away with it and it's okay to do it? Huh? What's happening? I don't think we got that connection right. So let's break again for a very short time, and let's get him on the phone. Maybe we can talk to him on the phone.
Welcome to Lifetime Solutions, where you can trust your roof to us. Our services include custom fabrication, steel framing, roofing installation, on-site roll forming, roofing maintenance and services. Call 223-ROOF or 223-7663 for a quote today, or visit our website www.lifetimesolutionstt.com. Lifetime Solutions. You can trust your roof to us. Call 223-ROOF or 223-7663 for a quote today, or visit our website www.lifetimesolutionstt.com.
As businesses adapt to the new normal, let Magic Mist take care of your cleaning and sanitization needs with our COVID-19 BSCAI internationally certified technicians. With over 43 years of protecting the health of our nation, you can trust us to ensure your building remains safe, healthy, and functional. Give us a call today at 638-6675 or 332-5522. Magic Mist Services Limited, your total facilities management solutions provider.
Welcome back. This is Brighter Morning with Bo, and I'm Bo Tiwari. We're talking to Mr. Hanif Benjamin from the Center for Human Development Limited. He's a clinical therapist and traumatologist. And we lost him on the video, but we'll talk to him on the phone. Okay, this is his photo there. Mr. Benjamin?
Yes, boy. I apologize. I'm having serious internet issues this morning.
Yeah. Usually when that happens, it's the Wi-Fi that's not stable and not connecting properly on your side. But I was asking you, what is it that allows a person to kill a young girl like Janica and just throw her in a grave like that, a shallow grave, and think that they can get away with it? And this person knows, it seems, Janica, and they do it with impunity. What is it that takes them to that point?
So something you said is quite interesting, which is they think they will get away with it.
Yeah.
Remember, I just said that there is no line with an irrational mind. And the reason for me saying that is because when your mind is irrational, you do not see the end. You do not contemplate beyond the act. And I remember when the Attorney General was in a meeting with me and we were going through the domestic violence bill and all of that. I remember I said to the panel there that regardless of how much billions you put as bail, how much jail term, that will not stop a person who is mental, who says in their mind and have made up their mind that this is what they are going to do. That is why in some instances, they either take their life or they sit and they wait for the police to come. Because in their mind, there is no, well, I will go to jail or I might, there is none of that. And therefore, we have to ask ourselves what is going on in the mind, in that irrationality that will cause a person to do such an act. But know that there is no repercussion in that person's mind. That is why they're able to do what they do. And then we also have to pay serious attention to people believe that they can get away with things as well. People believe that it will take forever and ever and ever to come before a court. People believe that they may not get caught. And as a result of that, they go forward and they do what they need to do.
Yeah. And they think that the consequences will never really catch up with them.
Correct.
Yeah, but let's take the COVID. Let's shift for a moment on the COVID situation. You yourself said something, by disrupting the relationship between home and work, we basically put everybody back in the home situation. The home situation may not have been perfect, and many times going to work was a relief from the stress of the home. And you could go home and sleep and get up in the morning and have something to go to, and that allowed you to function in your home and also function in your work. You have this additional situation where the children are there as well. Many times the household situation is not the best. Sometimes even the physical conditions in the home might not be the best. There might be the additional stress of not getting an income. There are very little things that you could do because the place is locked down. You can't go to the malls. You can't go and get something to eat outside. You can't really go by the neighbor. You can't even take your car and go by the beach because that is also closed. I mean, are these things that are contributing to the mental stress that seems to be so prevalent that people are talking about in this time?
I agree with you 100%. What I have noticed, you see, I said very early in the game that COVID-19 is not just a medical challenge. It is a behavioral challenge. And if we do not treat COVID-19 from a behavioral perspective, we will never win. We will always be where we are, and including the social ills that is begotten in our families. And the reason why I'm saying that is because for those very reasons, people were then placed in the lion's den because work used to be an escape. You come home late at night, you go to bed, you deal with whatever issue, and you're able to, at least for 10 hours, be out. But that didn't happen, and we did not put a behavioral mechanism in place to help people deal with the fallout of the challenges. Children used to go to school, and when you go to school, you was safe for a moment. But now you're home 24/7 in the lion's den, and there is nothing in place to treat to that. Mental health should have been put as a priority in COVID because that is the fallout. And the reason why we continue to see the rise in cases right now is because for the very things you talk about, people were not able to go out to escape, to breathe. And so they were in some type of volatile situation for too long.
Yes.
So now that they have a moment, like, somebody who has been caged up, you just want to be free. But there is a behavioral connectivity there. And if we don't help people to understand and to treat with that, then we will continue to be in this situation.
Yeah, and then the inequalities that have become, as you say, revealed. You say it's a time of revelation in a sense. The inequalities and inequities of the society that have been revealed also points us to the points of trauma stress. Because, if your income level is horrible, if you are poor, if your physical conditions where you are living are terrible. So it raises the whole issue of, decent housing for people, creating the conditions so that people could have reasonable incomes, etc., to look after themselves. But it also raises the issue of how do you organize societies for people when stressful, unpredictable situations emerge that have an impact on the whole society. So, does it require us to kind of rethink how we manage and organize society and manage economic development in our society? We just have a minute for you to close on that. I'll give you the last word, and I want to thank you for coming on the program. Go ahead.
Not a problem at all. Not a problem. I owe you a next appearance for all the challenges we face today.
All right.
Listen, you are quite right. As I said, COVID is a great revealer. It showed us how we treat with our poor and vulnerable in our society. It shows us a serious level of inequity. It shows us that big money talks, and that's it. If you are not in the big money category, you are going to suffer. We see where people who are already suffering have been thrown off the cliff, and people who were hanging on by a thread is now hanging on to the cliff. And so we have to look at the way we treat our people in society. We have to understand poverty differently. And we also have to understand that poverty is the greatest trauma of all. And while we can give you a food card here and give you a hamper there, that is not sustainable. And the time has come for us to really understand where people sit and where people operate within our society. If we are not going to do that, we will continue to see crime on the rise. We will continue to see social ills. We are going to continue to see trauma pervasive in our families, and it is going to continue to destroy the fabric of Trinidad and Tobago.
All right, Mr. Benjamin, I want to thank you very much for your contribution this morning. We'll have you on another time because this is an ongoing problem. It's not going to go away easily. And I don't think we have anything in place that can really address this situation right now. We have to do something differently. So thank you for your contribution, and we will see you another time. This is Brighter Morning with Bo. I am Bo Tiwari, and you are watching on MCTV, Multicultural TV in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean region.